This is our differentiated instruction project, and it was done by Jessica Boyer, Whitney Mohr, and John Tkaczyk. We found this.
It skips slides.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine. We found this little video about what some kids had to say about what they need in the classroom. So we thought that it was really informative as we were coming up with our presentation together.
Dear teacher, I know it doesn't always seem like it, but I really do want to listen and learn.
It's just my brain is kind of different. So this is what I'd like you to know about me. I have to move, or I really can't pay attention.
Even though I'm not looking at you, I can still listen to what you're saying.
If you tell me, sit up straight, now I have to use all of my brain to do just that.
It makes me feel sad when you tell me to try harder, even though I've already tried as hard as I can.
I actually listen better when I'm rocking in my chair.
So we know that all kids have different learning styles and different needs that affect them as they are in our classrooms. Another tool that helps us, or another idea that helps us to understand that every student is different, is Vygotsky's idea of the zone of proximal development. If learning is too easy, students will get bored, and if learning is too hard for them, they're going to give up. So if we can apply differentiated instruction, then we're going to meet our students within their zone of proximal development, and we're going to be able to allow all students to learn.
So Carol Tomlinson is a noted leader in differentiated instruction. She describes differentiated instruction as factoring students' individual learning styles and the level of readiness before designing the lesson plan. So you get to know your students and you're considering their needs before you're doing the planning for them. In other words, using differentiated instruction is considering the needs of a diverse classroom. A teacher seeks to know and meet the students where they are instructionally at a given moment. The desired outcome is to help those students in the classroom learn to their individual best level of learning at that moment in time. There's four main parts of differentiated instruction. You can differentiate the content, the process, the product, and the learning environment.
So, firstly, differentiated content, which is the knowledge within a subject area that teachers deliver to students with the expectation that it will be learned. This would include facts, concepts, theories, and principles, but not to be confused with related skills such as counting, writing, fluency. However, teachers can differentiate the process of how skills are obtained. There are various materials that are used to provide content at the instructional level, and in a differentiated classroom, one would observe a variation in how students are acquiring important learning. In order to differentiate content correctly, be sure that tasks and objectives are derived from learning goals, because they are often assessed and administered using standard methods as well as other assessments such as state assessments. With objectives being already written at varying levels, determining which instruction that students are at is a simple differentiating process. After determining those objectives, use them to focus a comprehensive instruction. Teachers, please avoid emphasizing infinitesimal details or limitless facts, but rather address the skills, goals, and concepts that all learners are expected to acquire. Differentiated instruction is not choosing which concepts some students should learn and which others can do without. However, the content which teachers should address is required learning for all learners. According to Hall, Strengman, and Meyer, the degree of complexity should be adjusted to suit diverse learners. Find that on page 3. Retrieving content is key. Alignment is essential. All students can learn.
Differentiated process is how you teach and how you expect the students to learn. It's explained by stating that assessing, it's finding out how the students learn and what engages them. The next part is key to this. You then offer multiple ways for the students to interact with the content, such as digital books, text, CDs, PowerPoints, presentations, film, individual work, small group work, lots of different choices, all chosen because they'll help the students with a particular class that's being taught. So in other words, there's not one step fits all approach here. A teacher needs to get to know the students, meet them where they are, and meet their needs in any way possible.
Another part of the differentiated process is flexible grouping, and that includes consistently using the grouping strategy and effective use of classroom management. When teachers are providing knowledge of new content, it's essential that learners collaborate. Some instructors, like this is a pretty common structure within a classroom, but they might have content delivery by beginning new learning with whole class discussions, and then have smooth transitions into small group or partner work. Usually the teacher leads the group, which requires the most coaching. If available, I know this isn't for all classrooms, but if they're there, very fortunately, the other adults are used to monitor or lead one or more groups and help just that classroom management environment there. So that the skill, content, and progress on formative or summative assessments, the grouping of students should be a dynamic process, always changing. This is a foundation of differentiation. So, classroom management. Let's dig a little deeper into that. A successful classroom rides on an instructor's successful use of classroom management. And it's defined by the Glossary of Education Reform in 2014 as being a variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, attentive, on task, and academically productive during class. Wow! That's us teachers, all of that. When classroom management strategies are executed effectively, teachers minimize the behaviors that impede learning for both individual students and groups of students, while maximizing the behaviors that facilitate or enhance learning. Based on this definition, a classroom that runs like a well-oiled machine is to the students' benefit, but also the teachers. Though it's essential, regardless of student ability, the organization and administration of differentiated instruction is more effective when carefully chosen instructional process and delivered. In 2001, Carol Tomlinson shared some various strategies that aid teachers with the challenge of creating a successful differentiated classroom environment. And here's an overview of some of those strategies. So the differentiated classroom could be new to both students and parents. Once the teacher has determined a strong rationale for the need to diversify, then share and create a partnership between each stakeholder in the process. The parents and the students both will be extremely grateful and helpful. Timing is everything. Manage it carefully by starting out slowly, keeping student success as a priority, and freeing yourself up to be available during all the different tasks that you know are going to come up. Also, think ahead and share plans with students. What's going to happen if this student finishes early? How do they need to turn in their work? What if they need help? And always be reinforcing that positive, safe classroom environment. Clear instructions, smooth transitions, practice procedures, and giving students independent responsibility are also essential requirements to the classroom management piece.
Differentiated product. So in the same way all the other components can be differentiated, product can be interacted with in multiple ways. Student responses can be accepted in many different ways. Carol Tomlinson again states that the same concept or skills is assessed for each student at the end of a unit of study. So the students are answering and giving response to the same topics, but the teacher offers a student a variety of ways to demonstrate knowledge. Further, to explain the differentiated product works when a teacher makes the product or assignment challenging, but not so difficult or complex that it is out of the student's reach. So it's got to stay in that zone of proximal development. Clear expectations and directions are provided, and the teacher needs to create a task that reflects real-world application. Then differentiated learning environments, they're the tone and the environment of the classroom, the operation, the tone, the place. It includes such things as rules, furniture arrangement, lighting, procedures, and process. You're considering the looks and feel of the classroom. It's a safe environment, a positive environment. The students are comfortable and free to do their work in. You're allowing for individual work preferences. There's quiet areas and collaborative spaces. There's moving and stillness. All those things are available. Materials reflect a variety of cultures, home settings. There's clear guidelines for independent work that matches individual needs. There's a development of routines that allow students to access support when necessary to have a strong differentiated learning environment. So it's an environment that fits needs for each and every student, not just the one-size-fits-all type of place.
All right, more on the differentiated learning environments. According to Smets in a 2017 literature analysis of a few different studies, some of the most important components in teacher-student relationships were that the teachers take opportunities to discuss with students the students' learning. Teachers also create a very safe climate for learning, and they take into consideration social relationships, both between students to student as well as teacher to student relationships. And then, very important, the teacher also exhibits a growth mindset in regards to what their students can do and what they can achieve.
Let's see, was this my slide, I guess?
Nope.
Is this your slide? Yeah.
Was it mine? I don't think this was mine.
Okay, so differentiated instruction is helpful for all students. The intent is to maximize each student's growth by individual success. You're trying to get them to maximize their growth by meeting where they're at, rather than expecting students to modify themselves for the curriculum. A growing body of research shows that effective results for full implementation of differentiated instruction. It shows positive results for full implementation of differentiated instruction and mixed-ability classrooms. However, in at least one study compared to the general student population, students with mildly severe learning disabilities receive more benefit from differentiated instruction and support, especially when the differentiation was delivered in small groups or targeted instruction. So there are certain groups of populations that benefit from differentiated instruction, which is critical for them, I guess.
All right, so a few ideas, specific strategies to implement differentiated instruction in your classroom. So these are strategies for students to access your differentiated instruction. One idea is to create learning centers, small groups, rotate through a series of different stations, and it allows students to work with that content in different ways. And this is not only useful in elementary classrooms, but in secondary classrooms as well. Another great idea is to utilize task cards, where you have a set of cards with questions or tasks that the students complete in either partnerships or in small groups or triads. It's very engaging, and it's a great way to chunk content and allow students to use just all different types of literacy and different ways for them to engage with the content. So you can make sure that you hit all different learners with that, with different levels and different all different types of stuff. And it's a great way for the teacher to catch like gaps in knowledge or misconceptions if you're monitoring during a task card activity. Think, Pair, Share is a wonderful way for students, again, to use those literacy skills and in a very safe way where they're in a small partnership first, or they get to think about it individually, they get to share it to kind of try it out with a partner before they have to present it to a whole group. All right, now some strategies for teachers to promote differentiated instruction with students. Share your strengths and weaknesses with students. Make it known that everybody, including you, learns differently, and that's okay because everybody's different. So celebrate that difference. Interview students about their learning. You can do this as a whole group or individually or small groups, but find out what your students prefer, what works for them. Have an authentic conversation about that. Find out what they need from you. Always reflect, or have your students reflect rather, and also engage in some goal setting with them. Let students reflect after big concepts and on their own learning, and you might be surprised by how well they identify their own strengths and weaknesses, and then have them set some goals from that information. And then for ourselves as educators, we need to constantly look back at what we're doing and asking ourselves, is it effective? If it is, fantastic. If it's not, what can we do to make it better? All right, so a couple of things that differentiated instruction is not. It is not just grouping students on by ability level. You want to have heterogeneous groups. You want them mixed up, all ability levels together. Differentiated instruction is also not just letting students decide what they want to do or what product they want to make. You can give them tiered questions, you can give them a list to choose from, but they don't just get to pick what they want to learn and what they want to make. And again, it is not, differentiated instruction is not letting students choose what content areas and what concepts they want to study or what they're interested in. Every learner has to meet the content standards and objectives. It's up to us to use differentiated instruction to make those content standards and those concepts accessible and learnable for all. And differentiated instruction is not only for certain populations of students. Every level, ability level of students, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, it doesn't matter. Every student can benefit from differentiated instruction, and well-designed lessons incorporate that differentiated instruction so that all learners are able to access and work with those concepts. Here are some of our references. And here are the rest. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.